Sound the alarms. Bitcoin is going to drop 40% within the next 9 days. Why am I saying that? Well, I've never made a video like this before, but I'm basing this off of a response from somebody named John on X, and you can see the screenshot here of a tweet that he made, and you may see why I'm actually referring to this tweet, and it's because he linked to a video of someone who I really respect and I think is one of the best in the space, Steve from Crypto Career University. Excellent follow. Give him a follow. Subscribe to his channel on YouTube. But, okay, a few things about this. Do I believe that Bitcoin's going to drop 40% within the next 9 days? And why am I saying 9 days? Well, it says 12 days in this tweet, and that was 3 days ago. So 9 days, within 9 days, do I believe that? No. Will I be prepared? Will I be prepared if that happens? Yes. And so, again, if it was just some random person tweeting, I probably wouldn't really give it much credence, but I did watch the video from Steve, Crypto Career University. He made this video in February talking about this last finishing move in the bear market that would send Bitcoin down a significant amount, a final flush out, very similar to what we saw in 2022 and 2018. And let me share with you right now a chart, the main chart, really, I mean, it's only one chart that he presents in that video. And what you see is a death cross. And this is a death cross on a 3-day candle time frame. So every candle on this chart is 3 days of time. And you can see every bear market up to this point, sometime after that 3-day death cross, usually within, let's say, a little bit more than a month, around a month or so, after that 3-day death cross, you see that Bitcoin has its final plunge to its bear market bottom. And then what Steve says in this video is that a significant indicator that this is actually the bottom is that all the people who've been calling for bottom the entire bear market, they finally throw in the towel and they say, no, all right, now Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin's going to go much lower. And so that's the psychological marker as you see this dump playing itself out, but that this final dump, it is the bottom in the bear market, and that is the ultimate time. Ultimate, I don't think that's the word. Optimal, the optimal time to load up on Bitcoin and perhaps altcoins as well. That is the time you get in. Dare I say, you do not get in a moment sooner. I do want to say something about this video that Steve presented. Watch it for yourself. Again, it was made in February. It called that 3-day cross happened on February 27th. And so that has initiated a countdown to when this move will happen. And do I believe it's going to happen? I do not. And I've laid out my cases multiple times why I do not believe that's going to happen. And it has to do a lot with economics and just a different perspective as to what the market looks like right now versus what it looked like in 2021 going to 2022 and 2017 going to 2018. But I would also say that it's based off of technical analysis as well and based off of the structure of the market that we're in. I've talked about weekly RSI, and I've talked about weekly RSI being specifically at the same level it was when Bitcoin had its first bottom at $17,000 in 2022. And the previous time before that was the bottom in 2018, and the 2014-2015 bear market happening at the bottom. And the flush out that we've seen those times, all right, 2022 was at the bottom. No, but it was very close to the bottom. It was $2,000 away from the bottom. And so that's I don't want to get into that again. The thing that I would say is different this time around, aside from the broader economic things, but from a structural technical analysis standpoint, is the amount of liquidity that is built up at these levels that's going to make it almost impossible, aside from a black swan event, for Bitcoin to just slice through all of these levels of support to get us to $40,000 within a week and a half, basically. That is something that I responded to this John guy on X about, and of course he responded with 4 tweets after that. So I was like, I'm done interacting here. But the difference in 2022, when Bitcoin lost $30,000 support, there was no support. There was nothing between $30,000 and $20,000. It made sense for that to happen. Same deal in 2018, when Bitcoin lost $6,000 support. There was barely any support available after that, and it was a just pure flush out down to $3,000. Now, though, we have first of all, we have the 2021 peak at $69,000, which has held very well as support. But we also have that 7-month range in 2024 where Bitcoin was just grueling. If you remember that time, it was pretty miserable from March until about the end of October. It just felt like we were never going to break out, but out of this range between $50,000 and $70,000. And of course, eventually we did. But the amount of the way that the benefit to that grueling chop that we saw in 2024 is now we have a very solid floor in this bear market, a very solid floor of support that we didn't have in previous bear markets. And so that is of my mindset with this as I look at this 3-day RSI thing. And I would say there isn't really all that much data to support that. We're talking about 2 or 3 cycles previous where we can base this off of, so it doesn't have to happen this way, but also just it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen to that extent. Could we have a move down that looks very much like it, that ends up being a fake out and a sweep of those $60,200 lows, or a bounce off the 200-week moving average? I could see something like that taking shape. But this idea that within 9 days we are going to slice like butter through all of that support and all of that liquidity is going to be eaten up, it's very, very unlikely. And it's really fascinating to me. If you watch that video from Crypto Crew University, he talks about it with a lot of conviction. I wouldn't say he speaks in absolutes, but he almost does. And so, okay. Now, that was a month ago. I don't know if he's changed his perspective at all, but if it's me against Crypto Crew University, then let it be, and so be it. Okay, that's not an easy thing for me to say, but I will put myself up against him, and I have a lot of confidence that he is not going to be proven right this time, which, man, that is a difficult thing for me to say, but I'm comfortable with the timing here. We are talking about a very short window of time. And if he's right, I'll give him my props, but he's not right. I'm certain of that. And I'm comfortable with that because I do believe that if and when time proves him wrong, he's the kind of guy, he's going to adjust and he'll do just fine. So take for that what you will. Bitcoin, very likely to not go down 40% in the next 9 days. But if I'm wrong, trust me, I'm absolutely going to take advantage of that because it's going to be an incredible bargain. All right, that's all I have in this video. I will see you in another video.